We are back for a third week Chosen Life podcast. Austin Keitner of the Keitner Group, Jonathan A. Cohen, partner Kormans LLP, real estate and corporate, and Bible 3.0 author and lover of life. And Austin, I was thinking from the other week, this is very much like a Seinfeld of podcasts. Everybody else is doing something. There's podcasts out there where it's, for automotive and learning how to buy cars, sell cars, right? There's ones where, how to be a barber, how to cook. This is a podcast about nothing. Everybody's doing something. We're doing nothing. And why am I saying that? Because the first week we get together, you're sitting down, we're about to start taping, and you go to me, Jonathan. I'm like, yeah, Austin, what's up? You didn't send me an agenda. I go, right. So I don't know what we're talking about. I didn't prepare. I go, perfect. You don't need to. Because guess what? You moved to Collingwood? That's an episode. Your kids go to outdoor school? That's an episode. It's so funny because on Seinfeld, it's not that, you watch a show Lost. You watch a show Prison Break. I'm in Prison Break right now. Okay, they got to break out of another prison. It's a show about breaking out of prison. I get it. That's what the show is. How do we break out of the prison? How do we not get caught? Fine. But it's the kind of nuances of it, like, the conversations and the life experiences. And those are just whole episodes onto themselves. And that's what we're doing today.
Well, I'm enjoying it. Thanks for having me again.
It's from the humbleness side of things, man. Like, you've lived it, you've experienced it, right? And you came up in the ranks of real estate to the point that you're teaching others, you're mentoring others. And I got the call from you one day, and I always had the image of you, man. Like, I didn't have dinner with you and never, play golf with you. So I just knew Austin Keitner, real estate 24/7. Anytime. Yes, Austin, what deal's coming in? Austin, okay, yes, no, this is fine. Is there a problem? How are we going to fix it? Like, we were always bang, 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 bang. So, like, all I said to myself, this is a dude, 24/7 real estate, closing his deals, how his client's doing. There's nothing else going on in his life. There's no other thoughts whatsoever. And all of a sudden, I'm going to Collingwood, and I'm going to open up a wellness retreat. And I'm like, where does this guy, he's spiritual? No. And then we start talking about those realms. I'm like, oh, man. He's a bigger picture dude. I had no idea. How did you hide that from me all these years?
I wasn't hiding anything. I also wasn't really tuned into the energy side of wellness, mental health. When I thought about wellness, it was nutrition and fitness. That was what I thought of as wellness. But I think part of it's moving to Collingwood, and I think it's like it seems to be an energy center. It seems to attract people with those modalities. I actually went for a massage one day and accidentally had booked a Reiki massage, which is like an energy healing massage. They don't even physically touch you. It's like strictly through energy, clearing your energy centers and your chakras. And the whole time I was just picking her brain about what the hell was going on and what she was doing and what it was doing for me. And I just thought it was super fascinating. I felt amazing after. And I just started learning more about it. I started following Joe Dispenza, and he talks about like completely transforming yourself, your life, physically, your autonomy, through just thought alone, through meditation. And he's written some amazing books on that and done some amazing research. And then starting to follow guys like Michael Singer, Eckhart Tolle. And they start all, like, you realize it's all around the same premise that we are not our thoughts, we are not our emotions, we are the observer of those things. And it's become life-changing. And I think, we're in, I think our world and the people in it are at a different level of consciousness, like more awareness. Mental health has come to the forefront of everybody's lexicon. We're all talking about it. A lot of people are doing stuff about it. The consciousness of the world, it's actually been measured that, like, in the 80s we went from sub 200. They measured the frequencies of our emotions and the overall human condition, and it's been operating below 200 for many centuries. But in the 80s it went over the 200 mark, which is like a drastic point of increasing the overall level of consciousness. So anyway, I've just been a student of this for the last few years, and it's been pretty life-changing. Yeah.
My mind is blown. My mind is absolutely blown. So I got to ask you on the other four, because now you see my reaction when I found out the world you were in. So you knew me as the partner at a law firm, closed real estate transactions, dealing with messes, fixing them, making people happy. What was your reaction, the first reaction when you heard of the Bible 3.0 that I wrote a book? What was your first thought?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't realize that you were spiritual. I know that you're Jewish and that you practice
Jubu,
Judaism.
Jubu.
Yeah, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you're spiritual. Like you can practice religion without being spiritual, and you can also not practice religion and be spiritual. So I don't usually make that correlation, but yeah, no, it was. I was inspired to see it, and I had noticed that you had leveraged yourself really well. Like I always know, your lawyers are extremely effective and extremely good at communication. I've had an amazing experience even just this week. I asked about a clause on a deal because it didn't seem great for my seller. I just wanted to get the lawyer's take on it, and without any assurance that the deal is going to close, he looked into it. He called me. I didn't call him back. He emailed me the response that I needed, and then he followed up again. Like the service is just amazing. But I noticed that you were, and I know that you're part of all those deals and you're always communicating with them. But I also noticed that you were also like just giving yourself some space. And I didn't attribute it to a spiritual journey per se. But I guess I wasn't surprised. I don't think I was surprised. Like I know that you've got your hands in your business and it's obvious, and the dedication that all of your people have to it is an indication of the leadership. But yeah, and I was actually glad to hear that you had gone down the spiritual path and that you had been awakening.
It's funny. I remember that note you talked about that particular matter, and while you and I didn't talk about it directly, from the second you messaged me, I was in communication with that person throughout. So two lawyers talking about. So you're really getting two lawyers for the price of one in that sense, and then as you're doing the follow up, I'm following up. Like I'm in the background. Like I see myself as a conductor, and I'm making sure all the instruments are playing, but I know what they're playing at all times. Because at any point, the way I see it is like this: at any point, you may catch me when we're talking, and you're like, "Hey, that file, that matter," and I'm like, "What matter? What file? Doesn't look so good." I feel like if you're gonna be in it, then you're in it. And I'm not the one actively doing the email always. I'm not the one actively writing a piece of paper, but it don't go out until I know about it. So there's a science and an art to it. But I'm also mentoring that way, and I'm making better lawyers, better clerks. So there's a team involvement. But again, you helped inspire me with that.
I had no idea. That was so inspiring to hear that. Thanks for telling me that.
Well, and that's where to inspire others to understand. Because Austin, I can't tell you how many times I have seen people, successful realtors, and they build up a team, and they're branding the team, and the team is going amazing. And then 3 years later, the team has imploded, and everybody went to start off their own teams, and then nobody's talking to each other anymore. And man, there's this thing about bringing people together, bringing strong people together, but keeping strong people together, working together. Like I have worked at a law firm where I had the strongest individuals in the world, and there's like 6 people, but they're like 6 islands. Nobody knows what the other one's doing. Nobody's helping one another. Everybody's in it for themselves. To be able to have multiple people working together on their own and as a group for the common interest and betterment. There's sacrifice involved in the mind because you're not doing your own thing per se, but if you're making your team stronger, you're going to be stronger yourself. Everybody wins, but you have to buy into the team mentality.
Yeah, and I'm lucky because I've had some of the best mentors that exist in our industry, and I've gotten to watch them lead. I've gotten to watch them interact with their team, and they've built, they've gone from being an individual agent to having the largest prop tech platform on the planet and the most valuable real estate company in the world. Ben Kinney and Chris Suarez, they built their teams from nothing, partnered up after they had partnered with 13 and 26 teams respectively, and then they joined forces, built Place. They were building the technology that was powering all of it. And now they've partnered with 350 of the top teams across North America. And they're just adding so much value to all of these teams and to all of these agents who are partnering with them. And I've just been, I've had the pleasure of watching them from the very beginning build it. So, I think we all need mentors. We all need role models. We need to, we learn really well with our mirror neurons. So we can actually, if we're able to see other people doing things that we want to be doing, we're much more likely to be able to replicate it. So, doing these things on our own is impossible. Having mentorship and seeing what's possible is, it's not just inspiring, but it actually teaches us how to do it too.
I'm going to give you a confession now. I feel like it's a little bit of therapy. So can we have therapy time for a moment?
Yeah, of course.
So, it's funny because I give the aura that I'm all-knowing. I've gone to business school, law school. I got called to the bar in 02. I've done this for over 20 years. There's nothing I've never seen. I can handle everything. But the truth is, it's not the fraud mentality. It's not the, I'm an imposter and nobody will figure it out. It's that I'm humble about it in the sense that I truly know I know nothing. I know that the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know. And if this table where we're at is the amount of knowledge, I know a fraction of it. That's the reality of it. So I know there's so much more for me to learn. There's so much for me to grow. I can do things differently all the time. And I'm going in with that mentality. I'm going in open. I'm not closed. I know what I'm doing today may be obsolete in a year from now. I may have to do it a totally different way, maybe a better way, and I want to hear about it. When somebody brings me an idea and it's something very different, I don't dismiss it. I tell them, great, I want to hear your idea. I want to hear the steps on how we're going to get there, and I want to know who's going to implement it. Go. Come back to me with that. Sound familiar?
That's good leadership, yeah.
Sound right? I used to have a sign on my door. It said, no problems accepted here, only solutions. Right?
Yeah, I found myself being a lot more open to stuff because, like, I started to notice as, like, you become more conscious and aware, like, you notice that, like, you're closed off to certain things. Like, I noticed, like, sometimes my brother would have an idea or a thought on how we should do a client event or something. And I noticed more recently that I wanted to do it a certain way, or I thought a certain way, and I stuck to that. But, like, why was I sticking to that? Like, I've recently come to the realization I can let go of everything that I think I know, because like you said, we don't know shit. We know 0.00001% of everything in any area, because we only know what we've experienced. That's all we can know. So yeah, that openness of a new idea, it coming from somebody who doesn't have as much experience from you, that's, I think, what can open us up to our unlimited potential.
When I come to my partner, David, we've worked together for a lot of years now, and I know he thinks I'm wacky, and I deserve that title for sure, because like, oh, about what are we doing next? I learned early on in my approach and with him, I don't come to him, we have a problem. Oh no, what are we going to do? I come to him, I tell him, I see an outcome in our lives. I want to get this outcome. How would you like this outcome? Can you imagine we could have this outcome now? He's like, oh, I like that outcome. That's fantastic. I'm like, great, because there's a problem. But here are the steps. I'm going to take these on because we're going to get that outcome. I want to focus on this outcome. Would you like that outcome? Absolutely. It's not going to cost you any time. Not going to cost you barely any money. Are you good? Sure. Who doesn't want someone to make their lives easier, right?
Yeah, there's so much value there.
So now you come to a client and you're like, whoa, we got a problem. I don't know what we're going to do. Probably don't have that much confidence in you. And I try to steer people. I said, we can sit here, we can play the blame game all day, and woe-ly us. What do we want as the final answer? What do you want to see happen out of this? Tell me your result. And if that result is realistic and we can see the steps, great. Let's focus on this result right now. Now, here are the steps we're going to do it. Here's who is assigned to it. Here's our timelines. There's our goal. Are we ready to go? Great. Give me the okay. We're good to go. I tell my lawyers all the time, I don't want you to think of yourself as a lawyer, lawyering and closing deals. You're in the make life easy business. Your job is to make people's lives easy. Take their stress, take everything else, and just run with it. Sound familiar?
Yeah, I mean, we teach that, like, we literally just talked about that this week, because, like, our agents have to be comfortable on the phone, and we have to have really good phone skills. Yeah. And going into the calls with the mentality that you are not there to sell anything. You're not there to sell yourself on something. You're there to help people solve their problems. And not everybody has a problem to solve, especially if you're calling them cold. But our job is to find out if there is a problem to solve in their real estate world. We can't solve all their problems, obviously. But we have to identify, is there a real estate problem? Is there a real estate goal? And then we can serve. So if we're coming from that mindset, and that's where it starts, and that's where our training and our mindset can start. But then we apply that to everything. And then we can apply that to the bigger problems. It applies to our listing presentations. It applies to life. Like, if we can be problem solvers for people, starting with identifying what that problem is, what their desired outcome is, what their goal is, it doesn't always have to be a problem. It's just a preferred future sometimes. That's where we can add value. And the more value we're adding, the more money we make, and the more we can achieve our goals and live the lives that we want, right?
There's an expression, absolutely. There's an expression in life. If you want to get something done, ask someone busy to do it. So you are a realtor, you're running that aspect, dealing with clients, you have family, the business Keitner group, dealing with other realtors, marketing, HR, skiing, children, lifestyle, and how you guys had picked up and gone to Collingwood. And then how do you have the time, the patient coming up with a wellness center, and how did that come all to be? I've been dying to ask you this for years now, but where did that brainchild come, and where did you find the time for that?
So the originally it was the economy shifted, and I was scared shitless that my only source of income was my real estate sales and my real estate business. So I was thinking of other ways that we could earn income, and it was just going to be like we bought a property. It's on 3.5 acres. It has a creek running through it. We built a sauna by the creek, so you can go in and out of the sauna, hot, cold. So me and the Wild School founder, we thought, having hot, cold, and warm ring room, like a pod kind of thing that we can put onto private property and do some sort of lease agreement with them or some sort of like profit share. We could have an app where you could go and experience this amazing like hydro heat therapy in nature. And it wouldn't feel like you're on somebody's property because we would choose properties where it's isolated and you're in nature. So it was wellness in nature was the idea, kind of taking the concept of the Wild School, like outdoor education, but outdoor wellness. So, but it didn't seem feasible. Like we realized through studying it that we would need our own property. But the only properties that we could find that would be like ideal for it were like $3 to $4 million. So we were going after one property for months. And it didn't work out for a variety of reasons. Like it just wasn't going to be the right property. The seller was tough to work with and stuff. But right at the time that was falling apart, this property came on the market. And I had been introduced to this property like a year before by Jeff, the founder of the Wild School. And I had just moved to Collingwood. I was looking for a place to bring my team up. So there's 14 of us on the team at the time. Yep. And I wanted to bring them up for a 2-day retreat, just like, team building stuff, like education, get our heads in the game. So I found this retreat center and they weren't looking to sell it. Like he wanted me to call them to see if they would sell it because he wanted a new location potentially for the Wild School. They weren't looking to sell it, but I was like, oh, this is perfect for my team. So we stayed there for 2 nights and then didn't think about it again. And as the deal was falling apart for this other property that we wanted for this new business, this property came on the market out of nowhere. They had no plans of selling it, but it came on the market. And I was like, Jeff, this is the exact property. Like he literally manifested because it had a barn that we wanted. It had the outdoor. It was attached to 300 acres of conservation land. So it's got a trail system that goes into the Beaver River and it's like just majestic and beautiful. And it has 18 bedrooms. And like, we're like, oh, we could have like a farmhouse, a Soho farmhouse. So Soho farmhouse is like 2 hours outside of London in the UK. So like equidistance to Toronto here. And it would have a combination. We could have spa like amenities, have wellness programming, yoga yurt, all those things, right? So we were like, okay, let's do it. So this was like a year and a half ago. And we closed on it. There's like so many obstacles in that. Like I've almost gone bankrupt twice in this process.
I can't confirm or deny that, but go ahead. Yeah.
I mean, you helped me close the transaction, so thank you for that. But there was some moments in time where like it wasn't always
touch and go.
good.
It gets touch and go.
It was a big risk that we took. And since then we've through borrowing and family and friends helping out, we've been able to completely renovate. It's a 10,000 square foot building and like head to toe renovation. It's just beautiful now.
What's the name of the center?
It's called the Farmhouse right now, but I'm either going to rent it out or partner or maybe sell it now that the renovation's done as of like the last 2 weeks to a drug and alcohol treatment facility, because it turns out, and we had some time because we were doing this renovation and everything, had some time to study different opportunities with this property. But in our studies, we found that like you might get $300 a night from people, and like eventually after another $5 million of renovations for like spas and saunas and having all the amenities to have a membership club that we were planning, it would cost a lot of capital to do that. And it's a big risk. But the drug and alcohol treatment, it's like instead of $300 a night, you're looking at $1,000 a night. And it's a market that's underserviced and growing, unfortunately. So there's this property's already zoned for it. Like we would have had to go through a zoning amendment. We have legal non-conforming use. Like we could operate it as a retreat center for now, as a wellness retreat. But eventually, like to expand the use, we would have to get a zoning amendment,
Right.
which is a process. So we've already got the zoning for drug and alcohol treatment. It's in demand. It's like 3 times the revenue. We don't have any experience with that business, so we would need a partner or we would just need to lease it out. But it's, it's been a distraction. I mentioned in the last episode that this has been my lowest personal year of production. Our team still kicked ass and like we had a good year of production because the agents were all performing, but my personal production was the lowest it's been ever. Because in my first year, I did more transactions than I did last year because I was so invested in making this work and in learning about these industries and this business. So it's been like, the prodigal son. Like I kind of feel like I left the business a little bit. I was still like coaching my team and working with their transactions and everything and like doing our power ups every day and doing the leadership stuff. But I feel like I'm coming back with like a new love and appreciation for the real estate, for the industry that we're in. Like it really is a unique one. It's got more opportunity than almost any industry that exists. I think I was built for it. I just love working with clients and understanding and working deals. Like I love doing deals. What I liked about doing this new venture though is like business deals. There's a lot more terms. There's a lot more areas that you can negotiate deals for win-wins. Like I love real estate because like you can negotiate win-wins. Like we have a part of our values is like it's a win-win or no deal. But in business, with business deals, there's just more areas that you can negotiate to create win-wins, and the win-wins can be really big. So we are going to keep, investing some of our retained earnings from the business into other businesses because I think you should be taking money off the table. If you're just reinvesting all of your profits into your one business, then they just become expenses. So then you're not profitable. Then you might as well run a not-for-profit. But so it's just been an adventure. It's been a journey. It's been learning lessons all over the place.
Life lessons.
Yeah, life lessons. We've created a valuable asset that we have some options with now. So we're just negotiating some letters of intent with people. But yeah, that's how it started and that's where we're at.
So I gotta ask you, man, this was a 3-part documentary series, let's say, and as we're ending off the documentary and the credits start to roll, in a lot of movies, as you finished off the movie nicely, everything came to a good conclusion, and the credits start rolling. They show you fast forward 5 years from now. Where are they now? I gotta ask you, as our credits are rolling in today's episode, Austin Keitner, 5 years from now, you're a betting man. Where are you gonna be in 5 years? What are you gonna be up to?
Well, I think our real estate team will be in pretty much every market in at least Ontario. We have an amazing platform that agents can tap into to make their businesses better, their customer service experience better, their marketing better, their administrative duties more streamlined and efficient. So we've already got 6 partners in different parts of Ontario. So I'm going to be going all in on that for the next few years, partnering with the right people who share our values and want to tap into those systems. So we'll be in most of Ontario with agents who specialize in their geographic area. And then we'll have, different offices in some of those marketplaces. And we'll probably have our hands in some other businesses that we're not the ones running, but we will have invested in them with the right partners there too. And it'll be around things that are real estate related or wellness related. Cause I think that they're both, I think agents need a lot more wellness and it can be a very stressful industry. And if we don't have the right practices and the right training to deal with some of these stresses, that it becomes not fun. I think that was part of the problem I had too, and why I might have been trying to escape with another venture. But I think with the right modalities and practices, then people can just thrive in it and really enjoy it.
Will there be a Keitner brokerage in the future?
I prefer the team model as opposed to the brokerage model. I think the brokerage has its place, but it's not a very profitable thing, and it has a lot of liability. Yeah. But the team model, and there's only so much value a brokerage can offer an agent because because of the nature of the splits and the commission and everything. Yep. So I'm going to stick with the team model and probably partner with agents at a variety of brokerages.
Love it. Yeah. People want to reach you, Austin Keitner. Where do they reach you at?
Instagram, Austin Keitner. Just search that. I'm the only one.
KEI.
Or they can check out our website, keitnergroup.com.
Amazing. You've been awesome for the last 3 weeks. I feel really motivated, inspired. I feel like a better person. I'm ready to conquer 2025. So thank you for the energy, the knowledge, the insights. Looking forward to a great year. And it's going to be a great real estate year, by the way, from everything indicating. We're going to have a busy spring 2025. So looking forward to closing a lot of deals.
That's what I'm seeing too.
All right, buddy. See y'all soon. Chosen Life Podcast.